We're going to have today some songs that are in support of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Some of these are in Hebrew, but I just want to let the music connect you with the land and ask for your prayers, especially in this time of need for Israel in the face of danger. But God is there. Hashem, it is the apple of his eye. It is the place where he dwells. And he has plans for the land. And that's enough to know. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation come, and his reward is with him. Behold, Yeshua comes. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and his reward is with him. Behold, Yeshua comes. For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. Nations will see your righteousness. Jerusalem, I will not keep silent. Kings will see your glory. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and his reward is with him. Behold, Yeshua comes. Oh, you will be a crown of glory, a royal gem in the hand of God. No longer will they call you barren. God will rejoice over you. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and his reward is with him. Behold, Yeshua comes. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and his reward is with him. Behold, Yeshua comes. Behold, Yeshua comes. Behold, Yeshua comes. Now, I had this vision today. This is a song I haven't played in forever. It's a Chris Tomlin song. What does that have to do with Israel? How does that work? This is a song that we used to play all the time. It's called All Bow Down, but I had this vision as I was thinking about these words. You're arriving with the sound of thunder and rain, arriving in the calm of the wind and the waves, arriving in the glow of a burning flame. Praise awaits you at the dawn when the world comes alive. Praise awaits you in the darkness and shines in the light. Praise awaits you with a song of love and desire. Now listen, he's writing about the return of Messiah. But what I envision today is Yeshua, as all the enemies of Israel have gathered around her and think that they have the upper hand. And then Messiah appears. And the song says, here comes the King. All bow down. And I love that because I know that's the way it works. That's the way the story is told. Israel will never, never be given over to the enemies of God. And Messiah is the central component. So we're playing some Chris Tomlin for you with a little bit of a different flair. These guys have never played it. They've probably never even heard it. So would you pray for them right now? Stand, take a... I'm just kidding. Thank you, Chris. Psalm 21, 121. Song of Ascents, Shir La Malot. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where comes my help? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. Your protector will not sleep. Behold, he will not sleep and not slumber, the protector of Israel. The Lord is your protector. The Lord is your shade on your right hand by day. The sun will not harm you, nor the moon by night. The Lord will protect you from all evil. He will protect your soul. The Lord will protect your going out and your coming in. Me'ata ve'ad olam, now and forevermore.
השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. שיר למענו, אשא עיני להרים, ומאין יבוא עזרי. שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למור רגליך, אל ינום נשום בך. הנה לא ינום ולא ישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, היד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. הנה לא ינום ולא ישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, היד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. placed a watchman on your walls, O Jerusalem. They will not be silent day or night of the Lord. They make constant mention. They will give no sleep to their eyes until God establishes grace. There will be no peace in the nights until the Lord makes Jerusalem a praise. He is sworn it by His strength. If you lift up your voices and call on the Lord, He will come. And the nations will see that salvation comes from Zion. Oh, no more waiting, the anointing of God has begun. Oh, blind eyes will see as the captives go free. If you lift up your voices, He'll come. Behold, the Lord has proclaimed this to the ends of the earth. And though there's fear in your streets tonight, something's already burned. Tabernacle is rising right now in the hearts of those who believe. There's the sound of a freedom shout rising up from under your feet. If you lift up your voices and call on the Lord, He will come. And the nations will see that salvation comes from Zion. Oh, no more waiting, the anointing of God has begun. Oh, blind eyes will see as the captives go free. If you lift up your voices, He'll come. If you lift up your voices, He'll come. If you lift up your voices, He'll come.
May it be soon and in our day. Let's stand together.
Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la.
be seated as we join with congregations all around the world declaring the watchword of Israel. Let's stand together. To the God who is faithful through all the generations. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chazdei Avot, u'Mevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Hosea Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham. Amen. To the God who is faithful to resurrect the dead. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atah v'rav lechoshia, morid chatal, mechakel chaim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech cholim, umatir asurim, umkayem emunato lishenei afar, mi chamocha ba'al gevurot, umidomela, melech memit umchaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lechachayot metim, baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hametim. To the Holy One seated above the heavens, the God of Israel. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע תמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך איי 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 ירושלים עירך בטוב אדון נצח נצחים איי 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 עינינו צירנה מלכותך
To the God who gives us this day of rest and refreshing. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. I'm going to teach you something else for that section. I'm going to teach you a little bit of each section of the Amidah. But this song you should know. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. To the God restoring his presence to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato Letzion. To the God who is worthy of all thanksgiving and whose name is good. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulchanei lehodot. To the God who grants us peace. Baruch atah Adonai havarech et amo Yisrael Bashalom. I'm going to teach you that whole one too soon. We'll be standing for hours. Aren't you excited? I can't even think of how it starts now though. How's the last one start? Sim shalom tova uvracha chaim chen v'chesed v'rachamim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Yain la 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 v'shalom. Okay, we'll do that. Not today though. That just sets the taste in your mouth for the beauty of the liturgy. Following the instruction of our Messiah, Yeshua, the disciples' prayer. Avinu Shabbat Yitkadesh Mecha Tavo Machutecha Ye'aseh Ritzonecha Kasher Bashamayim Gam Ba'aretz
sake of our Master Yeshua, in his merit and his virtue, may the sayings of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be favorable, be favorable, be favorable to you. Oh Lord, my rock, my redeemer. Oh Lord, my rock, my redeemer. Oh Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Oh Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Yeshua, who HaMashiach, who Adon HaKol.
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, the King of the universe, who has given us the way of salvation in Messiah Yeshua. Amen. You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. You can give your offerings there at that link or at the back of the synagogue. We're blessed to be with you today.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu Chai, O Davinu Chai. O Davinu, O Davinu, O Davinu Chai. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, all. It is great to see all of you here today. We would like to welcome Michael, Maria, Christine, Brian from Beggs, Oklahoma, Christopher and Jenna Davis from Gadsden, Alabama, and Virginia Beach, but I guess they're together today, but I don't know how they're in two different states and be together. So, Joanna Kinch from Wrexham, UK, Judy Fitzpatrick from India, Lorraine and Jack Price from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yeah, oh, y'all sure are quiet today. Just as a reminder, the back hallway is closed off due to construction. We do not have a nursing room, and the men's room is the outside. First tree to the left, number one. Second bush to the right for number two. So, now we have a trailer out there, so it's nice and air conditioned. So be sure and use it. Torah Club will be going on today, along with Kids Hebrew at 2 p.m. instead of 1:30 today. We have a special oneg, and I'll let them talk about that later. Growing Together will be coming up the 16th through the 18th. Boy, this is going to be a great event. We have space for 2 more couples. So let's get them filled up. If you need a hotel room, please contact Linda by the 6th. That is on Tuesday. Tuesday by 4 p.m. I'm putting a timestamp on it for. So Tuesday the 6th by 4 p.m. so that we can get you a hotel if you need one. And don't forget that child care stipend is available if you need it. And that is going to be fun. On the 20th of October, we have our 5K, our fun run. So, woohoo. I don't know about y'all, but it's too dang hot to be out there training for this thing right now. Old man like me. But I'm trying. So if I can do it, you can do it. The more of us that participate, the funner it will be. And then I just have one more announcement, and Karen's going to come up after I do to get some instructions for the ONEG. But tomorrow at 8 a.m., we are setting in progress, getting it going, Operation Free Steve. Yeah, so Steve, has been housebound for the last 4 months, cannot get out of his house, so we're going to go build him a ramp tomorrow so that he can start coming here, but mostly so he can make his doctor's appointments. So Operation Free Steve, meet here at 8 a.m. in the morning, and we'll go from here to there. There's not much parking, so yes?
We got a few more announcements that you didn't get.
Oh, okay. All right. Story time, Shalom Kids Story Time, August 14th at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Online only, so that is something for everybody around the world. Hayesod, the Sabbath, begins Tuesday, August 13th at 6:30. Online only. So if you would like to do that, come ahead and join us. And then the Kingdom of Heaven. I couldn't read that last word over there. The Gospel from a Jewish Perspective. That will also be on Wednesday, 14th at 6:30, online only. Well, fantastic. Oh, and the third issue of Making Connections is out. What a fabulous job that they have done. So go online and read it. They did a great job. There's a good story by the Turners in there that I really enjoyed. And if you have anything to supply for the next issue, please send it in. I think they want it by September 15th, something of that nature. So you have time to be able to get it in. But one of the things that I'll be throwing in for this one is I got a new grandson yesterday. So, Thursday. So, woohoo. But anyway, so.
How do they get to the newsletter?
How do they get to the newsletter? You can go through Shalom Macon. There's the Shalom at Home. There's a link on there that you just click on. You can get it from there. And I think there's access on the web page. Yeah, it's on the website as well, front page of the website. All right, guys, did y'all got anything else to throw at me that you didn't tell me about? Oh, that I didn't check on? So, all right. Shabbat Shalom.
Is this working? Awesome. Good morning. Good morning. I wanted to give you some food-related announcements and information. As you can tell, we are in a phase of tight spaces and flexibility. And we really appreciate everybody coming here with an attitude of flexibility and extending grace for the differences that are going to be going right now and the way that we get to enjoy different opportunities. So I'm here to talk about some of those different opportunities. As you know, we no longer have our kitchen. It's under construction. So for the time being, the modified kitchen is going to be in the library. Sorry, I just lost my notes. There's the kitchen, the kitchen is going to be sharing the same area as Gimel, which will be the back half of the library, or the west if you're the left side. Thank you. And by the sink, there is a drawer. Inside the drawer, you have the sink, the microwave. Inside the drawer are hand towels and washcloths, and also a cutting board. What you will not find are any knives. Because we share this space with children, we figured that knives should not be a part of their curriculum. If you need to have something cut and you cannot cut it before you bring your food here, please come find me. I can check out one, and then you will be on your promise that you will give it back, because again, we do not want knives and other safety-related items where kids can access them. Also, with regards to limited or no access, is the Kita Bait room, where we have all of our kitchen stuff stored. That is currently off limits for everybody because it's in the middle of a construction zone. So if there's something that you need from there, please come and find me, and I would be glad to access it for you. Also, as you're using our modified community kitchen nook over the next several weeks, if there's something that's lacking that's not a safety concern, I would be more than happy to supply it there. So please send me a note, send me an email, come flag me on Saturdays, and I would be glad to make that available to you. If you bring your stuff on Shabbat, you are welcome to use the big commercial refrigerator, on the condition that you take it home with you at the end of Saturday. We do not have enough space right now for everybody to store their stuff over the weekends, and we have a lot of hungry construction guys that might just rummage around and take your leftovers. So don't let that happen. With regards to free food and access to free food, we do have somebody who is dropping off free donuts, pastries, etc., that we have marked free, and they're in the refrigerator, and we would really love for you to be able to take them home to eat them. Yes, so please do that as well. Finally, please clean up after yourself. Because we have such a small little nook and we only have one cutting board right now, there are going to be available paper plates, paper cups, plastic cutlery for you to eating utensils. So that's always going to be available. But if you're needing to use anything else, please keep that area clean. I would really appreciate that. And then, so that's all of our announcements for just the logistics of our new space. And I, again, appreciate your flexibility and grace as we're dealing with this transition time. The final thing is that we have an oneg today in honor of our guests, and we are so happy that they are here. We have made what used to be the kibbutz corner, and it now is Aleph and Beit, the classrooms. We have that area as a kid-friendly area, so there are tables and chairs there. Kids, after you go through oneg, if y'all would want to go and sit there and eat, that would be great. We're not trying to shut you out. We also just want you to be able to have seats, and then we have other seats that will be in the library, or if you would like to go out to the pavilion, you're welcome to eat there. And we want to encourage a time of fellowship for today. So I think that's it. Oh, and we have to do a quick turnaround to be ready for Torah Club in the library and at 2 o'clock. So if y'all would just keep that in mind as you're fellowshipping, you're welcome to extend your conversations outside at that point. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to all who are navigating the difficulties of growing pains, which is a good problem. I want to invite up to the bima a friend, a new friend. She probably gets the award for the furthest traveler to Shalom Macon. I'm betting on it. Pastor Kumie, please come forward. I'm going to let her talk to you, but just by way of introduction. This is the pastor of New Wineskin Church in Japan. Is it in Tokyo? Where?
Gunma.
Gunma. How's that? How was that? And a Torah Club leader, a Shalom Macon distant very distant community that is on Shalom at home sometimes, celebrating beautiful, beautiful Messianic holidays there. But here's the point I want to make. They're in Japan. The Christian community in Japan is very, very small. The Messianic community in Japan is atomically small, okay? And it's not an easy road. We live in America and sometimes have our own struggles trying to explain and invite and allow people to participate in Messianic Judaism and the synagogue. You go to a what? You know, can you imagine when the percentage population is 0.000 something? And so I want you to pray for the pastor, for the community, and that we can be a true sister community to them and help them, okay? So why don't you share a little bit with us, whatever you want to say. It doesn't have to be a lot. Although if you would like to give the teaching today, you can do that.
I'm Kumie Kanai, and the pastor of New Wineskin Church in Gunma, Japan. We have been blessed to be a part of Shalom Macon family. Thank you. Toda. ありがとうございます。Shabbat Shalom.
You stay for 1 second. Stay for 1 second. Kids, you see these? These are yours. All the way from Japan. Courtesy of Pastor Kumie and her congregation, who I want to introduce real quick. A message from our brothers and sisters in Messiah. So we have these special bags that Pastor Kumie brought for all of you, which you can pick up after Shabbat school, okay, if you're good. If you're not good, you don't get one. But can we offer Pastor Kumie thanks for our gift bags and presents? Thank you very much. Thank you. Miss Sabrina or your teachers will figure out the bags for you, okay? You're going to love them. Let's come up, kids. Let's go to Shabbat school. As long as we have less than 33 kids, because that's how many gift bags we have. And we're going to make it. Yisimcha Elohim Ke'Ephraim V'chi Menashe. May the Lord make you like Ephraim and Menashe. Yisameach Elohim Ke'Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah. May the Lord make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Father, bless our kids. And I hope that you guys will be the ones who build bridges like that with people all over the world as you come up to be strong men and women for the Lord. Right now, it is our job to guide and to lead them, community, so God give us the strength to do that well. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yo'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka. Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Okay, find your parents, and then we'll tackle the adventure of getting you to Shabbat school.
Maybe we kind of copying you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Paul asked me to talk slowly till he gets back. I will never forget a statement I had in a post-sermon conversation with someone. I don't remember what the teaching was about. I gave it years ago. I'm certain it was something different than what this person had ever heard before, because it probably came from a Jewish perspective, taking into account the history, the context, the tradition, all those things that we do, the practices of Yeshua of Judaism in Yeshua's day. And most importantly, it probably challenged the traditional perspective that this person had known from their Bible reading and all of their religious upbringing. And here's the statement that they said to me. You know, at my church, we read the Bible literally. That's what bothers me about you Messianics. You read so much into the text. Why don't you just read it for what it says? Well, friends, here I go again, in the words of Ronald Reagan or whoever said it. That's not always the way it works. And we're learning that as we look through the book of Romans. And you can see from the title of today's sermon, teaching, message, as I promised last week, we've got a doozy here because Romans has much to say on the Torah, on works, on law, works of the law. And if we had a year to go through it, we could probably tackle it all, but the truth is, I don't think either of us would survive that. I know I wouldn't. It is difficult business trying to condense all these things into something that's manageable, but I'm going to give the Torah its due today, this week with Paul, the Torah, the Jews, because, as Paul says, to the Jews first, right? So we need to talk about that and understand. If there's one thing we can certainly derive from traditional or what we might call Lutheran interpreters of Paul, one thing is certain: Paul did not like the Torah. That much we can decipher. Now, speaking of the language of my critics' comment, the person who told me, why don't you just read the Bible for what it says? When you do that, it actually sort of makes sense why people would say Paul doesn't like the Torah, right? You read difficult comments in here, which that actually, just reading it for what it says, is also derived from a famous guy named Martin Luther, who told us, sola scriptura, just read it for what it says. But all you have to do, in this case, is read it to find some things that are difficult to swallow if we're making a case for Torah. Paul's own words provide all the proof one would seemingly need to make what is called an antinomian case. The word nomos in Greek, law, antinomian, anti-law. Okay? Here are some quick samples. Galatians 3, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. Romans 7:5, while we were living in the flesh, our sinful passions, aroused by the law, were at work in our members to bear fruit for death, but now we are discharged from the law, dead to that which held us captive. The oldness of the written code, it's sin seizing an opportunity through the commandment, produced in me all kinds of covetousness. Galatians, before faith we were imprisoned and guarded under the law. Galatians 3, cursed is everyone who does not observe and obey all the things written in the book of the law. Wow, Paul, tell us what you really think, right? I mean, is there even a point to continue this message at this point? The Bible makes its own case, right? Plain read says, I don't have a leg to stand on up here to try to convince you of Paul's affection for the Torah. These are his own words. He just made the traditionalist day. Martin Luther is celebrating. I won. I beat him. He can't make a good Romans case. And again, the traditional viewpoint, which I will, let's just say, I think it's prominent. I think it's certainly popular. I think it's mainstream. But here again suggests that Paul was, quote, the wedge that split apart the new grace-filled Christian church from Judaism and its law. Traditionalist perspective. Paul declared the end of the law as a futile effort by the Jewish people to earn God's favor. He's imagined to have proclaimed the law-free gospel because he discovered that one could not become righteous by doing good works since no one was without sin. Now, I know that I have repeated this viewpoint multiple times so far, but it's important because Luther and the Reformation and the post-Reformation builders constructed this idea, antinomian, law-free gospel, constructed it into a seemingly impenetrable theological fortress. How can you say anything different when you read these things? Here's a quote from Luther's preface to the Old Testament. Therefore, we see that these many laws of Moses were given not only to prevent anyone from choosing ways for his own for doing good and living aright, but rather that sins might simply become numerous and be heaped up beyond measure. The purpose, this is of the law, Martin Luther says, was to burden the conscience so that the hardened blindness would have to recognize itself and fell its own ability and nothingness in the achieving of good. In other words, human beings could never do anything good on purpose. And the law only points you to your miserable self. Paul seems to dial it in even further with another term in Greek, ergonomou, which means works of the law. Works of the law. Romans 3:20, for by the works of the law no flesh will be justified in his sight, for through the law comes the knowledge of sin. Romans 3:28, for we maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from the works of the law. Galatians, nevertheless, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law. More ammunition, right? We've got the Torah, we've got nomos, now we've got ergonomou, the works of the law. Ernest DeWitt Burton, a 19th century, very well-respected theologian, he says this, by ergonomou, Paul means deeds of obedience to formal statutes done in a legalistic spirit with the expectation of thereby meriting and securing divine approval and award. Everything you do, in other words, is because you think you're going to get saved by doing it. That it meant trying to earn your salvation. Now, I will return to that term in detail, but for now, I want you to track this flow with me. It's very easy. Works of the law are Jewish things. Generally, then, the Torah falls under this category, okay? Which was then building a contrast between faith and works. Works are contrasted with trust, which ends up being Jews versus Christians. That's where it leads. So the supposed gospel of Paul is read to be in direct opposition to this Jewish gospel of what? Law. Legalism, works of the law, earning your way to salvation. So, even though the Torah represented a special relationship between God and his people, it was now to be undone, cast aside, and it's not a leap too far to add Judaism into that mix. And then once you do that, you completely write the Jewish people out of the story, and they have been superseded, which is where we get the term supersessionism. The church replaces Israel. I'm just giving you the logical flow. Are you with me? Are you tracking with me? Abolished, undone, unnecessary and damaging things, damaging and dangerous for people to get close to. So, from the termination of Torah, we apparently, by this traditional interpretation and even new perspectives on Paul, we get our hard dividing line between Judaism and Christianity. Christianity, a thing that didn't even exist in Paul's day. Okay? You always have to remember that. For you have heard of my former life in Judaism, right? This is used to make the point that Paul did indeed have a conversion to Christianity, which we spent time debunking last week. But we read these texts like, you've heard of my former life in Judaism, how I persecuted the church of God. Former life, right? Former life, what once was, but implies I don't have that anymore. Philippians 2, even though I have reason for confidence in the flesh, if anyone else has reason to be confident in the flesh, I have more. And then he lists his Jewish resume. Circumcised on the 8th day, member of the people of Israel, tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew, a Pharisee. But then, yet whatever gains I had, these I have come to regard as loss because of Christ. Another thing, I had all these Jewish things, but 1 Corinthians, very, very famous one. To the Jews, I became a Jew, right? To the Jews, I became as a Jew so that I might win Jews to those who are under the law. This suggests that Paul had to do what? He had to act like something he wasn't anymore. My former life. But when I got around them, I had to start acting like them again. So friends, taking the advice again of a plain read, we've got an apparent difficulty. And this is the prevailing opinion. The function, the significance, the works of the law, Torah, Judaism, in essence, the Jewish people, it's done. For as Paul says in Romans 10, Christ is the end of the law. Is this Paul telling it like it is? Are we, all of us with a Torah scroll in our midst, and are we just completely missing it? Is this Paul telling it like it is? Or should we consider looking deeper? At the audience, at the mission, at the message, at the messenger. Well, since you're here, let's look deeper. The most important consideration component of all of these scriptures is who he's talking to, the audience, who he's talking to. Paul is the apostle to who? Writing to who? Where? In Rome, the Gentile center of the universe of the first century. As I told you, we may have can assume that some Jews would have overheard the letters being read in the communities, but it was not written to Jews. The letter was written to Gentiles. I've made that point. He is speaking to Gentile audience in Rome. These statements about the law, Torah, especially the works of the law, they are made with intention to that audience. Anchor that in your mind right now. Romans is not the story of universal salvation or doctrinal teaching for the world. It is not the condemnation of Judaism, and this is a fundamental understanding for you as a reader of Romans. Paul's presentation depends on who he's talking to. Is that logical? Is that common sense? Of course it is. He says so himself. And I just told you in 1 Corinthians 9, depending on who I'm talking to, that's who I talk like. That's what he's saying. I became a Jew, I might win Jews under the laws, though not myself under the law. So that's another one, but we won't talk about it. This is a basic rule of communication. Know your audience. If I start talking to you in some kind of Gen Z code that I don't even understand myself, how much of it are you going to get? Like, we're about to put on the Riz of Romans. Come on, players and bros, let's check the, like, you don't do that. You know your audience. And if we know that, if we know Paul's audience, his mission, his purpose, his goal, we can make sense of this difficulty. So, given today's topic, let's talk about what Paul really thinks about the Torah. You up for it? Got a little bit to say. First, though, I just need to touch briefly on Paul's Jewish life. I covered some of it last week. Was Paul's Judaism something he cast off? Okay, we said no. Is an inferior religious option of no value anymore. I shared those scriptures previously, but that one really, really hits. My former life in Judaism, my former life. You can translate that word former, and some translations do. You can also translate it a different way by saying my earlier life in Judaism. My earlier life, earlier, previously, before now. The former, that word former means it's something I don't do anymore. That was, it's not anymore. He lists his Jewish credentials in Philippians, and then he says, yet whatever gains I had, these I've come to regard as loss, right? Which people say, heaped it on the junk pile, I don't need that anymore. But listen to me, you count something worthwhile as a loss if you give it up. Do you understand what I'm saying? If he's talking about some sinful, dreadful life, and he says, I count that as loss, that's stupid. It would be counting that as gain if you got rid of it. I got myself out from under the burden of Judaism, thank God. That's not what he says. He says it was valuable to me. And yet, when compared to being a disciple of Messiah, it's not equal. I still count it as loss. He's saying that, belonging to the people of Israel, circumcised on the 8th day, a Hebrew of Hebrews, and more. He now has the opportunity to impact all of humanity, to usher in the kingdom, participate in the redemption of the world. It's a big thing. So he puts his Judaism secondary to that, not in the garbage can. It doesn't mean it was bad. Now, regarding Paul and his ongoing, lifelong connection to Judaism, that did not change. I'll give you a very quick little run. I should have had these scriptures up, I'm sorry. Acts 22. Paul says these words. You ready? Acts 22. This isn't like at the beginning, before he figured it out. I am a Jew, born in Tarsus, Cilicia, brought up in this city, educated under Gamaliel, strictly according to the law of our fathers, being zealous for God, just as you are today. Romans, I say then, God has not rejected his people, has he? May it never be. For I too am an Israelite, a descendant of Abraham, present tense. Romans 11. Galatians, we are Jews by nature, not sinners like all the Gentiles. Paul, he wouldn't hold it back. No matter what you think you know from a prior reading of Romans or anything that you've ever heard, I want you to just understand. Paul may have changed the way he lived in Judaism, but he never, ever stopped being a Jew. Now, no matter, I want you to sit up straight, move to the edge of your seat, and stay there for what I'm about to tell you, and never, ever forget it as you read Romans. You ready? Paul never condemns the Torah. Just let it come in there and settle in, and all the doubts and questions about everything I just said and the contradictions. Paul never condemns the Torah. But all the stuff you just said, Having established that Paul was and remained a Jew, let's recap in a few short statements what the Torah meant for the Jewish people. And that means for Paul. Okay? For Paul. The Torah is not only a set of law. The word nomos, it means a lot of different things. It's a way of life for the Jewish people. It represents the scripture. It's God's instruction for living in relationship with him. Keeping Torah means much more than empty preservation of texts and studying the material. It means to study, to teach, to live by its principles, to use it to settle disputes, to maintain positive relationships within your community. That's what the Torah means, but most importantly, it represents a covenant between Hashem, God, and the Jewish people. It represents a covenant arrangement. The people made promises at Sinai. So did God. That relationship is unique, and it defines what is known as the chosen people. Torah, covenant, election. Israel did not earn it, and they never thought they did. It was an act of grace in which Israel was chosen by God to receive the Torah. This promise, this covenant is eternal. God, I'll ask, can God break his promises? When we get to Romans 11, we'll see Paul confirm that. God cannot break his promises. And yes, without a doubt, Judaism places emphasis on what one is supposed to do and not do. That was a reflection of a covenantal relationship. This was a representation of faith in God. If you'll remember, E.P. Sanders called this covenantal nomism, saying the Jewish people observe the Torah because it's part of their covenant relationship, like a marriage. That's what that meant. The simplest example is a marriage. I honor my wife because we are in covenant, but also because I love her. And so it's not a burden for me to do things. It's silly to see it any other way. But never, never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever did the Torah represent a means to salvation for the Jewish people. Okay? It's another anchor. You got to anchor it. The Torah never, ever, ever represented a means of salvation. As a matter of fact, the Torah presumes that the people will fail and fall and sin. It is a presumption in the text, and they did fall and fail and sin. And yet, within that system of God-given instruction were specific ways in which God's grace and mercy and favor were to be received. The sacrificial system, the priesthood, Yom Kippur. It's in the Torah. In other words, all humans sin. No one is righteous, not one. And no one can earn their way to right standing with God through the Torah. There are rewards for good behavior, punishments for bad behavior. Calamitous events in Israel's history of disobedience, Pamela Eisenbaum says it best. There were sure signs of divine displeasure when Israel went far away, but there was never disfavor among God to his people. You understand the difference? So the idea regarding erga nomu, works of the law, as an effort by Jews to earn them salvation and garner up enough God points to be saved from burning in hell doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And this, when you get rid of that, you can begin to see. And yet it has become the most prevalent idea in the interpretation, not only of Romans, but of Judaism in Paul's day. And that Paul was an enemy, therefore, of it, because he was a Christian, which is not true. More importantly, and maybe more confusingly, is that Paul says all these things, and then he goes on to talk about good works and how you should do them. Remember when 2 Peter says Paul is sometimes hard to understand? 1 Corinthians, so then, my beloved, just as you have always obeyed, not in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. What? For it is God who is at work in you, both to desire and to work for his good pleasure. 1 Timothy, I want women to adorn themselves with proper clothing, modestly, discreetly, not with braided hair and gold and pearls or expensive apparel, but rather, how should a woman adorn herself? Rather, by means of good works. Colossians, so that you will walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, to please him in all respects, bearing fruit in every good work. What is going on here, man? It's an interesting consideration to suggest that when one follows God's law, that he is doing it solely for a manipulative and selfish purpose. That's weird, isn't it? Or worse yet, that God is displeased when one follows his instructions. That's the most asinine of things that you could put in. To say that faith and only faith is where it's at is I'm sorry, let me just take a breath. It's like saying, Taylor's at the back of the room, my daughter, my middle child. It's like her coming to me and saying, Dad, you know, I don't know, I just felt like I should help this person on the street, and then somebody needed to borrow money, and somebody needed help building part of their home, and then somebody needed a ride to the hospital, so I did it. Taylor, what's the matter with you? That's ridiculous, right? I would commend my child for following in those good ways. I know this kid's desperately wicked and only attempting to get on my good side by doing these things. So don't ever do them again. Pay particular attention in Romans. It is not, this is maybe the most confusing, and we're getting to the end. For it is not the hearers of the law who are righteous in God's sight, but who? The doers. Huh? It's not the hearers of the law who are righteous in God's sight, but the doers of the law who will be justified. When Gentiles who do not possess the law by nature do what the law requires, these, though not having the law, are a law to themselves. There are good Gentiles. Did you guys know that? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Goodness sakes. All this Jew and Gentile talk we got to put a little funny in there every once in a while. It's a bit confusing, I know. Believe me, we'll come back. That's from Romans 2. We're not in Romans 2. But the point is, Colossians, Philippians, Galatians, Corinthians, Romans, Paul is saying it's good for Jews and Gentiles to engage in righteous deeds, works, and sometimes acts of following Torah. And part of that responsibility includes that God is the creator of the universe, as Paul says. Is he the God of the Jews only? No, of course not. He's the God of the Gentiles, it says. Paul says that. The knowledge of God and desire for his creation is found within the words of the Torah. It speaks to the nations. It was Israel's national calling to represent it and themselves as a light, as an example of human conduct. And still, within all of that, the Torah serves a uniquely Jewish purpose. But I want you to just, let me summarize it. Paul, with all of his Jewish education and knowledge, knew that the Torah was a positive gift, part of the covenant of Israel, and a blessing that was essential to all the world. He understood that the Torah was an expression of God's grace to the Jewish people, not as Martin Luther, the law like a mighty hammer is meant to crush human self-righteousness. That seems very ungodlike, doesn't it? But listen, as a matter of fact, the idea of God, if the law is a hammer meant to crush you, just listen to this. I'm sure you've thought of it. The idea of God giving such a weak and insufficient law is fraught with problems of theodicy. Justice, God's justice, the appearance of evil. If God gave a law that is so weak and insufficient, it raises questions about God's own justice and goodness. Why would a just and good God provide a law that is destined to fail or lead people to sin? Putting it plainly, if God-given law to Moses at Sinai increased, caused, exacerbated sin universally, then God caused it. That doesn't make sense. Does it? Of course not. We can't believe any of that. And I can't, neither would Paul, neither should you. But are we to assume that all of this changed when Paul met Jesus, that what Yeshua really explains to Paul on the Damascus road was bright flashing light, blind, can't see, but he comes up and whispers in his ear and says, Paul, psst, Daddy made a boo-boo. I'm here to fix it. Go tell all the nations about it. My God, he didn't mean to give anybody the law. I'm here to fix it. Is that what Jesus said to Paul on the Damascus road? Of course not. It's ridiculous. When he says in Romans 3, listen, Paul knows no one is justified by the law before God. It's evident the righteous man shall live by faith. He believes that. No one is justified by the law but by faith. When he says in Romans 3, since all have sinned and fall short of the glory, he believes that. Jews and Gentiles. The Torah makes room for sinners, and the Torah was never, ever, ever about salvation. It's about relationship. Jewish salvation, that is the world to come, was about faith. Faith that God was going to live up to his promises, that what he said in the Torah, even in dispersion and exile and war and persecutions, that would be realized. Why? Because God is faithful, and he said it, and he cannot change what he said. Thank you. It's to him, right? Because of God's faithfulness, the Jews believed they could be saved. Not because of their faithfulness, but because of whose? God's, Hashem's. And because it was more than just the Torah, it was also another covenant before that, the Abrahamic covenant. But listen to me, this is where it gets real tricky. And this is the end, I promise you. The nations, the Gentiles, ethne, no matter what the Torah means for the Jewish people, when Paul is writing alive, the Gentiles had no connection to either of those covenants. The Torah was not theirs to claim. The Abrahamic covenant was not theirs to claim without some kind of miraculous happening. Was there a miraculous happening? Yeah. They were idolaters polytheists. They had no relationship with the monotheist Abraham. They had no connection to the covenant relationship between God and the Jewish people, but something did change. The nations had been brought in, a connection had been made. And with all of that goodness we've just discussed surrounding the Torah, is it any wonder that the Torah is found in the thick of the discussions of Romans as it relates to the nations? But without a doubt, we are presented with a pessimistic, at times downright dismissive attitude toward Torah and Romans. How do we reconcile these contradictions? How do I make sense of what he actually said? Well, I have good news for you. We are done now with the foundational stuff, okay? These last 3 or 4 weeks are the foundations of Paul, of Judaism, of Torah. Next week, Darren will bring a message, probably in preparation for Tisha B'Av. I don't know what he's going to talk about. And then when I return, we are into the book of Romans, chapter 1. And we'll start talking about what's actually happening. And we get to the purpose of Romans. You ready for that? Foundation laid. Yep. I read behind and beneath more than what the Bible said today. Much to the chagrin of my critic from years ago. There's more to see than just what's on the page in black and white. Shabbat Shalom. Let's stand. Every time I say this for the next however many weeks, we are going to remember that this is a prayer that recognizes some of the similar subject matter to which Paul will be speaking in the book of Romans. Jews, Gentiles, kingdom of God. Every knee will bow. Every knee will acknowledge that God is God. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedolah li'oser bereshit, shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahen, v'gor aleinu ki chol ha'monam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu noter shamayim v'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mimal, u'shchinatu zo b'govei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emed malkeinu efes zulato, kakatu b'torato, v'yadat hachayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mimal, v'al haaretz, mitachat ein od, v'ne'emar v'chaya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, Vayom ha'u, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad. On that day, the Lord will be one, and his name will be one. Anya, would you do me a favor? Would you take those bags over to the classes so that they can distribute them to the kids while they're in there? You can do that for me. Thank you. In closing, I just want to please remind everybody of the time in the calendar that we currently find ourselves, which is called the 3 weeks. This is the time between the straits. This is the time when both temples were destroyed. There were all kinds of horrendous things throughout history that occurred to the Jewish people because of this. You've noticed we have not had flowers during the 3 weeks. This is a time of preparation for what is coming, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. Monday night, I don't know the date, not this Monday, the next, we will gather at the synagogue in the evening at 8 o'clock. We will read the book of Lamentations while seated on the floor as we prepare for a remembrance of the destruction of the temple and a crying out that the new one would be rebuilt. With all of this going on, it is no wonder that right now Israel faces potentially the gravest danger she has faced since 1948. And so I want you to pray. We have friends. Our own Jeremy Schoenwald is in Israel. His flight is canceled. We need to pray that Jeremy can make it home to his family. And we need to be serious and put our hearts into praying for God's protection for this land and for its people. May the Lord bless you, and may the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you his peace. B'Shem Yeshua. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. Yo'er Adonai ponav elecha v'yihuneka. Yisa Adonai ponav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Charles and Joy and Pastor Kumier are sponsoring a real oneg for us today. And it goes this, there's Karen. Okay. It goes this way out into the delicious, wonderful, cool air of Middle Georgia. And the food is set up down there. So thank you in advance, Charles, Joy, and Pastor Kumier, for your hospitality to the community. It's a blessing to have you here. This is an opportunity before we say Kiddush on Shabbat, that I taught you a little bit from the Vishamru. That's where we sing that. Okay? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. We salt our offerings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. B'Shem Yeshua Meshechenu halechem hahayim. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth and has given us Yeshua the Messiah, the bread of life. Shabbat Shalom. Let's eat.